What's up everyone, it's King Moose here with JCross X, so welcome you all back to episode 31 of Class Overview. For those who aren't familiar, the Class Overview series is a collection of informative videos where we'll be discussing the different classes in Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
We'll be going over general information about each class, like their certification requirements, stats, abilities, and their overall strengths and limitations to determine their viability and what units are a good fit for each class. As per usual, these videos will be gameplay focused, so there shouldn't really be any major spoilers, but I advise you anyways to watch at your own discretion, and if you haven't played 3 Houses yet, you absolutely should.
This episode will be focused on the Sniper class. Just like Warrior in the previous episode, Sniper is a 5-move class with standard infantry movement and terrain penalties. Sniper comes with 2 class abilities, one of those being Bow Fair, which increases the damage you deal with bows by 5. The other is Bow Range plus 1, which is retained from Archer, and as you can probably guess, it increases the range you can attack with bows by 1 tile. In order to guarantee certification for Sniper, you will need at least A rank in bows, though as usual, the exam can be gambled at a little lower than that. Compared to Swordmaster, Warrior, and Grappler, I would actually argue this is the easiest to certify into for most units. Almost every physical unit will want to reach at least C-rank bows for Archer in order to pick up hit plus 20, and also almost all of them will be using bows as a primary or secondary weapon in battles, especially in maddening difficulty. As for skill rank bonuses, Sniper only grants a plus 3 boost to bows, and that's all. That's obviously not ideal, but compared to Swordmaster and Warrior, which are objectively outclassed in this area by other classes, Sniper is a bit better off. The only other advanced level class that grants any bonus to bows is Assassin, which has only a plus 2, so Sniper does have a unique role as the fastest advanced class to raise bow ranks in. This boost is primarily used to quickly pick up Bow Prowess 5 at A plus rank, and Bow Crit plus 10 at S rank, which synergizes exceptionally well with this unique combat art of this class that I will discuss later. With that aside, it's not really useful for many promotion options. Sniper seems intended to be an endgame option for bow users, and it works well for that role. Bow Knight is a potential side grade at level 30, but has the same bow requirement as Sniper, so this boost isn't relevant.
The base stats of Sniper are pretty standard, bearing the same exact numbers as the advanced stage sword classes, with a typical 30 HP, 17 strength, 8 magic, 12 dex, 14 speed, 10 luck, 12 defense, and 8 res. The luck and especially dex bases being normal is somewhat strange in all honesty, considering the class seems to have a lot of focus on dex in the other stat categories. Speaking of which, the growths for a physical class offer a pretty below average plus 10% and plus 5% modifier to HP and strength respectively, while tailoring a lot of focus in the dex, which has a plus 20% modifier as well as a somewhat smaller plus 10% growth to luck. The class also comes equipped with a standard plus 5% to charm. These growths obviously tailor the class to growing stats for a crit focused playstyle, which given the slightly lower might of bows as well as the class's master that Josh will talk about shortly, does make some sense. Additionally, the boost followed that same trend with a very high plus 5 to dex, easily the most out of the advanced classes as well as being the highest out of the classes in the game. It also carries a plus 3 to luck, which is tied for the highest out of the advanced stage classes, with Trickster also having a plus 3 to luck. The only other boost the class has is a plus 1 of strength, which obviously is on the lower end of boosts, but can still make a pretty feasible difference in this class given its mastery, Hunter's Volley, as well as the crit focused playstyle that stats are clearly leaning towards as I just mentioned. Overall, there really isn't too much to talk about here, and honestly Sniper from a statistical perspective is alright. The bases, while not the most important area, are very generic, and the growths are pretty average with the only really standout being a plus 20% to dex, which can be nice for growing a multitude of physical and magical units though. While Sniper does hold 2 of the highest boosts in respects to the advanced classes, this does mean that it does sort of limit the amount of playstyles you can feasibly execute on Sniper given how min-max they are. However, this can arguably be a good thing since Sniper does have a very defined role, and a lot of units that can take advantage of that will appreciate the boost to their crit percentages.
Rather than an ability, mastering Sniper grants access to the combat art Hunter's Volley. Just like Astra as we discussed before, Hunter's Volley does not take up a combat art slot, but it is only usable in Sniper rather than being transferable to other classes. It costs 5 durability and provides a nice set of benefits in exchange for that, those being 1 extra tile of range, plus 1 might, plus 15 hit, and plus 10 crit. But the main benefit is the special effect of Hunter's Volley, which grants it a Brave effect, triggering 2 hits in succession once used without any sort of nerf on either of the hits, and not giving the enemy a chance to counterattack in between those hits. This combat art, as you can probably guess from the description, is absolutely insane and without a doubt one of the best combat arts in the game. The only combat arts that could potentially be better than it are ones that are only available in 1 unit or otherwise a much smaller selection of units, while literally any unit in the game can get Hunter's Volley, so if you take availability into account then it probably takes the number 1 spot. It provides reliability, range, and kill power all into one. So this is something you can literally just use almost every turn without having to think about it. Obviously, higher strength units really shine with this combat art since their strength is applied twice, but you really don't even need high strength to kill things with Hunter's Volley. Alternatively, if you have good dex and or luck, you can take advantage of this combat art's natural plus 10 crit boost, as well as things like bow crit plus 10 and killer bows to pretty much guarantee at least 1 crit from the 2 hits, which easily makes up for the lower strength. There's also a third option, which is taking advantage of a high magic stat to kill things with Hunter's Volley using a magic bow. Regardless of how you use it, it's pretty much impossible to not get value out of this combat art, it's just that good.
Sniper has one main strength that we just discussed, and that's Hunter's Volley of course. As Josh just said, the combat art makes the class, and that's why mastering it is of the utmost importance. There are a lot of different ways to utilize the combat art, and honestly any half-decent physical or magic unit can, even units I don't see use as much as a Hanneman. I personally used them recently as a magic-oriented sniper, and paired with a magic bow and Hunter's Volley, his damage numbers were actually relatively high while also having his own utility in the form of Schism Shot and Ward Arrow. Just goes to show that any unit can really succeed with the strength of the combat art, whether they're magic focused, strength focused, or dex luck focused. I can't really think of a unit in the game that doesn't have at least one decent growth in one of those areas, and as such it provides a lot of potential options for your playthrough if you want to have at least one sniper at your disposal. As for other strengths, being a direct upgrade to Archer means also having bow range +1 as an innate class ability just further propels the class into one of the stronger ones, as this just means it can safely take care of potential threats from even further away. The fact that you can reliably nuke, or at least do reliable, strong chip damage to enemies from as far away as 4 tiles with Hunter's Volley makes this class have a very healthy and useful niche, even while being stuck at only 5 move. The range also helps out other helpful combat arts such as Curve Shot, Encloser, Monster Blast, and pretty much just any other utility you might need. The fact that Hunter's Volley also doesn't take up a slot means that you can reliably have your snipers be one of your units that retains the beginner class movement combat arts, which is something I frequently do when I have snipers. Combining all these factors together makes Sniper one of the best options for player-phase combat during the advanced stage of the game, and one that doesn't even require significant investment either.
Sniper is an excellent class, especially for the stage of the game when it's unlocked, but it does have a few weaknesses. It suffers a bit from not granting as many bonuses to strength as the other physical classes do, with only a +1 stat boost and +5% growth rate modifier. When your main purpose in combat is to make use of a brave combat art, this difference in strength can be very relevant. The obvious other weakness is the movement, as we just discussed previously with Warrior. As a 5-move infantry class, its movement is the same as its predecessor Archer. Archer's movement was fairly average during the intermediate stage, and therefore wasn't much of a weakness, but it becomes more noticeable with Sniper, since it has to compete with a few other infantry classes that have 6 move, as well as a few cavalry and flying classes with 7 or 8 move. Granted, I don't think the movement issue is as bad on Sniper as it is on Warrior, since it has a much greater effective range with its signature weapon, but it still has a bit of a problem, especially on maps that are large and or have difficult terrain. In general, the movement issue becomes more glaring the further you get into the game, especially since at level 30, Bow Knight becomes available, which is both significantly better mobility and better range. While Bow Knight is not necessarily better than Sniper on most units, it doesn't have to deal with this weakness. Arguably, another weakness of this class that is a lot weaker before you master it. Without Hunter's Volley, the kill power can be a little lacking, but it's still a solid class that provides useful chip damage just like Archer before it, so I don't think this is a big deal, and this time period can be greatly reduced by things like the Knowledge Gem and the Saint's Action Boost.
In our opinion, Sniper does not degrade from Archer in the slightest and also receives a 10 out of 10 rating for us. The two are in very similar situations honestly, having a very vital mastery pickup as well as being one of the best performers in combat for the time that they are unlocked. Although Hit plus 20 is arguably the best mastery in the game and has more versatility given the fact that it can be transferred to all classes, the sheer lethality of Hunter's Volley and Sniper's overall combat performance more than make up for it, even when the competition is thickened quite a bit. With Paladin and Wyvern Rider being a premier option for a lot of Lance and Axe focused physical units, as well as Gauntlets actually gaining a class as a conscious in the stage, there are a lot of options for units to go. However, the versatile application of Hunter's Volley means that there's no shortage of units that can decide they want to focus on bows and use this class. That being said, some of our unit recommendations are Ashe, Ignatz, or any other unit that may be lacking kill power given the mastered combat art more than make up for it. It also helps that the stats of this class synergize with these two specifically as well, since they both have naturally high dex and lux growths, which means that even if it doesn't look like they will run around an enemy, a crit can definitely help change that. Additionally, some units who might appreciate it are ones that are statistically strong and have a great early game, but might fall off a bit later. Although maybe not the best option for them, Yuri and Felix have a budding talent in Boon and Bows respectively and can definitely take advantage of this class. Similar to Catherine, who is unlockable as early as Chapter 4, Shamir is recruitable almost just as early in Chapter 6 and comes equipped with this class. Although not as good in terms of growth as a Swordmaster, Shamir herself is statistically a strong unit, and while you could definitely put her in other roles, Sniper is surely not a bad option for her at all. Magic units such as the previously mentioned Hanneman, as well as Mercedes and Hubert can also make good magic snipers with magic bows. Honestly, Sniper is kind of in a similar situation to Vantage Wrath setups as it's arguably one of the best options for a specific phase, and can work on anyone who doesn't really have anything else better to be doing. This is also a good long-term option too, as Sniper never really falls off either once it gets its massive power spike from mastering it.
Given the rating we gave it, it should be obvious that Sniper is a lock for S tier. While it does have a couple weaknesses, mainly the movement, Hunter's Volley is just so good that this is the ideal endgame class for the majority of units who specialize in bows. It's a simple class that's pretty easy to certify into, and gives you a lot in return for that investment. Literally any unit that you put into this class can become a potent kill threat in player phase without even needing to put a whole lot of effort into your build. It does face competition with Grappler in that regard, but Sniper is a bit more versatile due to its range and not being gender locked. I would guess that this class is definitely one of the main reasons why bows have a reputation for being so great in 3 houses. And on that note, I would also guess that Sniper is one of the reasons why advanced classes have a reputation for being so strong and providing much more noticeable power spikes than the master classes. In my playthroughs, Snipers are usually the top priority for the Knowledge Gem to get them set up as early as possible, since Hunter's Valley is arguably the best advanced class mastery. This is another class like Wyvern Rider where if you're not sure what to do with a unit, you can just slot them in a Sniper and they will always be comfortably strong. That's basically all I have to say about the Sniper class. If you liked the video or have any thoughts of your own, please leave a like and make sure to comment.
I also recommend checking the description if you're not already subscribed to both of our channels.
Stay tuned for episode 32 on JCross' channel, where we're moving on to the next advanced class, Grappler.